a little bit of a supine abdominal series for getting the transverse abdominis working, and really just getting in touch with that kind of support belt of abdominal wall around our core. So we have 3 curves in our spine, right? We've got the back of the neck curve, the thoracic curve, which is the upper back, and the low back curve, which is the lumbar curve. And a common misconception with abdominal series is that we're trying to flatten all those curves out. And that's not necessarily the case. Yes, some people are predisposed to certain holding patterns in their body. So some people actually do have a very pronounced curve in their lower back, and some people don't have a curve in their lower back at all. So you just kind of want to take stock of where you are. You can look in a mirror and see when you turn to the side, do you have a pronounced lower back curve or do you have none whatsoever? We want to find somewhere in between all of that so that there's length in our spine. Whenever those curves are pronounced or not there at all, there's some pressure into the spine. So that's what we kind of want to have in mind as we're doing our abdominal series. So what I have here today, for my spine, it works really well, is this little lumbar pillow. You can get them off of Core Products, or you can get them off of Amazon. It's not too supportive. There's a little bit of give to it, but it just provides me a little bit of feedback for what my lower back is doing throughout the abdominal series. So we're gonna start laying down on the back. And here you can just already kind of take stock of where everything is in space. And I like to get in touch with where my pelvis is by doing a few pelvic tilts. So you can think of there being like a little bowl of water on your lower belly or on the front of your hips. And you're gonna think about tipping that bowl of water towards your feet, like you're trying to pour that bowl of water out. And that should create a more pronounced curve in your lower back. And then you're gonna tilt your hips under as if you're gonna pour that bowl of water back towards you. So I say tip your hips forward to create an arch in your low back. That's forward for me. And then tip your hips back towards you. Okay, tipping them away, we call that an anterior tilt. And then towards you, posterior tilt. Okay, so a little arch for the anterior, and then a little post for the posterior tilt is what I got for that. All right, so as we move through that, going into that little tilt forward, little tilt back, we're just creating that movement of that lumbar spine and the sacral joint. Okay, and then we want to find somewhere in between there. Okay, so somewhere in between there. And how we make sure that we really truly are in between there is I like to do just a little bit. Your feet aren't going to actually move, okay? But you're going to feel like you're pulling your heels to your sit bones and your sit bones to your heels. And that'll pull you so that hopefully your sacrum is anchored. Another measurement is to create a diamond with your thumb and your index finger and feel that your pubic bone is not higher than your 2 hip points on either side. You want all of that to be flush and level. Okay, so from here, I'm now gonna grab my lumbar pillow. If you don't have one of these, you can roll up a towel and put that under you. You want just enough for support. You don't want to, again, accentuate too much of a lumbar curve there. All right, so we're gonna place that into the lumbar spine, low back. I'll stop using lumbar, low back, back there. And then from there, we're gonna find our transverse abdominis. And one of the ways that you can find that is by clearing your throat. So clearing your throat and putting your fingers down just inside your 2 hip points can kind of, you can feel that muscle kind of contract a little bit, okay? So in Pilates, we talk a lot about drawing in and up. The thing is if you draw in, there's at some point where it doesn't feel very functional, and you want to feel a drawing in and then a tightening of the low belly. So a drawing in and a tightening. Now the tricky thing is you got to maintain that throughout so many of the movements in Pilates. So return to the basics often. Okay, so belly is drawn in. There's a little bit of tightening in that low belly there. You haven't changed the position of your pelvis to find that. There hasn't been any rocking, curling of the tailbone. There's just a drawing in of the muscles around the bones. Okay, once you've got that, do it a few times if you need to. Again, heels to sit bones to heels. That grounds the sacrum down. Stomach then pulls in. And once you have that tightness through there, we're going to add the legs into this so that we can challenge that stability. So take an inhale, breathe into your ribs. And then as you exhale, pull the stomach in deep and start to just barely lift the right foot just off the mat, just off, barely. And then place it back down. And you can feel the whole body kind of shift as you do that. You want to take note of that. You're trying to gain control over that system that engages as you pick one leg up. Do it to the other side. Just barely pick that left foot up. Stomach in, and then place it back down. Good. Do it again on the other side. This time we'll pick the foot up just a little bit more, hover it just up off of the mat. Again, I like to use my hands on my stomach just to say like, okay, what is going on down there? What muscles are firing? And then place that foot back down. Do it again on the other side. Other foot hovers just off your box, your shoulders and your hips stay square. And then place that foot down. Okay, not quite challenging enough. Then you would just barely, without changing anything in the spine, hover both feet just off. And that is a huge leap, in my opinion, from just one leg to doing both legs. And you have to keep that whole spine. You can even hear there's a little bit of shaky in me trying to hold all of that there and then place both feet back down. It's a lot of work. So, all right, how do we build to that? We're gonna go 1 foot at a time again. So let's bring the right foot up into tabletop, ribs in. Think about everything that you just felt with the both feet. Now bring both feet up into tabletop. A little bit of an easier entry there. So both feet into tabletop. Now challenge that. Ribs are down. I like one hand on the ribs, one hand on the low belly. You're gonna tap the toes of one leg down towards the mat and then exhale and back up. Again, hands on the belly. Make sure it's not pushing out as you do this. Okay. Something to keep in mind is that you don't have to touch the toes all the way down towards the mat. Maybe the leg just moves away from you a little bit and then comes back up. So then you keep the range a little shorter so that you can keep the control of the muscle as you do that. As you get a little bit more advanced, maybe the leg reaches out a little further and back up. The leg reaches out a little further and back up. And advanced might be in a couple days. Advanced might be in a couple weeks, a couple years even if. Good. So you're alternating, one toe taps down, other toe taps down, and then you're gonna rest both feet down onto the mat. You're gonna open the knees out towards the side for a moment. You're gonna bring the knees back together. You're gonna just gently shift the hips side to side, let the knees just gently sway side to side. You're not trying to get the whole low back up off of the mat. We're trying to create that stability here. All right, so challenging that a little bit further, you're gonna bring your right foot into tabletop. Now let's go ahead and just bring the hands behind your right thigh and pull that knee in. A little bit of a stretch for the back of the leg. You're gonna straighten the right leg up towards the ceiling and then back down, keeping the hips grounded. It's just a little stretch for the hamstring because it's nice. Good, one more. Straighten that right leg up towards the ceiling. Now, it doesn't have to be straight up towards the ceiling if you cannot keep your hips level. That's the most important part. If you lift and the tailbone tucks under and the belly pushes out, you're missing everything that we just worked on. So you want to make sure that your hips stay level as that leg comes up. Maybe, again, it's bent. All right, I digress. So leg is straight, you're gonna lower it down, and then exhale back up. Stomach stays pulled in as you do so. Do that a few times. And then keeping that right leg up towards the ceiling, from there you're gonna hover the left foot just off. It ups the ante a little bit. You're gonna lower the right leg down and then exhale back up. Lower and then lift. Again, keep working to pull that stomach in so deep, like you're trying to put on a very tight pair of jeans and you do not want to zip yourself into those jeans as you do this. Now, bring that leg back down. Let's take a rest on that side. Left knee comes in towards the chest, so we can do the same thing on the other side. You're gonna pull that in. You're gonna straighten the left leg up and then back down. Straighten it up and back down. One more, up, magic number 3 in Pilates. All right, left leg lowers, straight down, and then exhale back up. Again, hands on the stomach if you need to, just to give your brain that tactile feedback. It's information for you to digest. Lower and lift, lower and lift. Upping it just a little bit, we're gonna bring the right foot just up off of the mat, lower the left leg down and back up. Reach it out and down, out and up. Got 2 more, out and down, out and up. Last one, out and down, out and up. Bend that knee in, place both feet on the mat, gentle rock side to side. All right, from there, we're gonna go back to both feet just hovering off the mat, just barely. So take a big inhale. As you exhale, ribs draw in, stomach draws in. You're gonna hover both feet just off of the mat. See if it's a little bit better than that first time. Now that we've got all of those core muscles pulling in tight, drawing in to hold them there. Good. From there, let's straighten both legs up towards the ceiling if it's available. Your legs might be a little tight in the front of the hips. That's okay. Reach the legs away from you. We're gonna lower the right leg down and then switch. That's just got quite into the advanced work here. If this isn't quite available to you yet, go back to those femur arcs. It's okay. We want to build. We don't want to overwork muscles that we're trying to get around here. Bring both feet in a tabletop and rest them back down. All right, from there, what I like to do is open up the hips since we just tightened quite a bit of those muscles around that. So we're gonna take that little bolster out, towel out, whatever you used. Rest down. You'll notice that maybe there's a little bit more shape and curve to that low back if you needed it, or a little bit more length if you were trying to lengthen that out. Let's go hands down by the side. You're gonna do that little pelvic tilt again, and then so tilt under, posterior, and then tilt forward, anterior. Tilt under and posterior, and then tilt under, and then you're gonna start to peel and lift the hips up just a little bit up off of the mat and then roll back down. So a little bit of further movement for the joints in the spine. Curl and lift, stomach pulls in just as we practiced, and then roll back down. And again, really emphasize that scoop to lift. As you lift, you aren't continuing to tuck. It now just becomes length through the waist so that you feel like you're almost in your standing position, right? So the hips are just very neutral in line with the spine at this point. There's support in the glutes, and let's just hold here for a while because I'm getting quite a bit of work through the backside of my legs to just stay here. Okay. Staying here, you're gonna hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we're gonna stay here just a little bit longer, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull the heels to the sit bones to the heels like we practice on the mat, and feel the backside of your body work just a little bit more, and you're gonna hold that for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll yourself all the way down. Place your hands on the backs of your thighs. Lift the head, press the thighs into the hands, and rock yourself up to sitting. All right, so that's just a little bit of stuff to play with for your abdominals. You don't have to do it all at once. Take piece by piece, play with it, and see how it feels. Day by day, just a little bit of mindful movement. You're not trying to just burn the muscles out. You just want a little bit of firing just to get everything involved. So hope that helps.